Artemis, how are you?
Hi, Tony. I'm well. How are you?
I am well. Nice to see you. It's been a couple months now.
Great to see you too.
When was it? The gala?
It was the gala weekend in New York.
Yeah, early December, right before the holidays. Feels
It was
like
great.
feels like a long, long time ago. But
You think so? I think it feels like yesterday to me, and it's like
really,
February already.
now for me, it feels like ages ago. It was
Oh my
a
goodness.
busy holiday season, to say the least. Anyways, excited to get you back on. This is a first time since the inaugural episode of Grease Chats. I have you on again.
Yeah.
You were the
Like
very
a,
first episode.
it's like a throwback slash evolution.
Yeah, and you were telling me that that episode is still listened to because you were saying that someone reached out after listening to it.
Yeah, I was like, so this person reached out to me on Instagram and she was so sweet. And she was like, I just listened to your Greece chat with Tony Kariotis and it was so inspirational. And like, thank you. And I was like, wow, because I know that you know this, but like you put that content out there and then you don't know sort of what happens to it. And for me, like, I have a smaller podcast than yours, but it's like, okay, I'm on episode, 8 now. And I'm like, does anyone listen to episode one? But it was definitely confirming that people do
Yeah,
listen to episode one.
for sure, for sure. Anyway, so since it's been a while, I'm sure there's a lot of new listeners on it. Maybe some don't go back to episode one; they listen to the latest ones only. Why don't you take a minute and reintroduce yourself to everybody?
Okay. Hi, Grease Chats listeners. My name is Artemis Kohas. I am a psychotherapist by education, an entrepreneur by life. um, and I now work I have my own agency that does marketing, communications. I work with the Hellenic Initiative. That's a big part of my job. And I'm a people person. I'm a community person. I'm a, brand person. I'm passionate about all things Greek, all things mental health, all things yoga. I became a yoga instructor in the last quarantine. That part we didn't have on the first chat.
Didn't, yeah, we didn't.
Yeah. So that was a new development for me. So all those well-rounded things, I'm, the embodiment of.
It's almost like you have a preview of my list here of things I want to ask you. The next thing was what's next. You could have just said yoga now, right?
Well, so the thing is, I've had a dream about doing yoga retreats in Greece before I became a yoga teacher. Because I think it's one of those things that I've always used when I'm going through a tough time, to move your body, to meditate, to sort of slow things down, to take, an hour and a half for yourself. And what better place to do that than Greece, where
Yeah.
you have this natural, beautiful sunlight. You have the sea, you have herbs, you have healthy things to eat. I've gone on yoga retreats, not in Greece. And it's been transformative for me. So I've been always wanted to sort of provide that experience to other people. Now I have not yet figured it out, but it will happen.
Perfect. Looking forward to it. I want to backtrack. So obviously you got a lot going on there. You just named off like three, four, five different things. Why don't we take it with just one at a time? Talk to us a little bit about Kohas Agency and how that started.
It started because I had a Mustika business in New York. I had a retail store, an online shop, wholesale, retail, and I believe in collaborations. And I believe that if we work together, we can grow a message. And at the time, when I started in 2007, there was not a lot of Greek stuff in the market. I know now it seems like it's really, maybe people don't remember that, but there weren't a lot of Greek things in Whole Foods, and in all these sort of like American markets. There was like, one or two products. But now Greece has evolved, and like they're in Mustika shop brought like, a whole new packaging and marketing appeal. And then, obviously the Greek diet, the Mediterranean diet got a lot of attention. And so out of all of my collaborations with winemakers, with chefs, with even Greek designers. I would do jewelry pop-ups in the shop. At some point, a winemaker came to me and said, I want to work with you. So we started doing, Mustika dinners with wine pairings. And then eventually his importer came to me and said, oh, you know what, like I have a budget and I'd like to do a series of events, inviting press, raising awareness around Greek wine, doing all these things. And can you do it? And I was like, well, it was a Richard Branson moment, like where you just opportunity knocks and he says, you just take it and then you figure it out later. And that's what happened. And so I created a company so that I could invoice them. And then from there, it's been like word of mouth. And there are all these things that I was doing that I hadn't, like with Mustika, that I hadn't like labeled. Like I hadn't labeled like, oh, you're doing communications or you're doing marketing or you're doing, community building. And those skills can then come with you to other clients, there's transferable rather.
So what is I don't want to say ideal, but an example of a client that if they're listening and can benefit from Kohas Agency, like what is it that they might be doing that they can use your services?
I will say that right now I'm working with a client that we're going to be rolling out a campaign, building awareness around, I'm just going to say it, I'm working with Stray Dog Gin, and we're building awareness around a campaign that they're going to run around Stray Animal Day. And it's going to be really awesome. And there's going to be some launch events and there's going to be some online digital media stuff. It's going to be really exciting. And I think, here we are with a Greek gin brand who is working on a larger platform of doing good. And I think it's very relatable. I think people are really interested and they're going to be really excited about it and it's going to be fun. So I don't know if that answered your question necessarily, but I think my job is about like amplifying what people are doing and helping them organize it and like roll it out.
So whether it's an initiative, like you said, with the Stray Dog, or can it be a company that is working on a brand new product and they just need to help build it?
Yeah. Like we've worked with people on branding, whether it's like the beginning of branding and like, creating a tagline for them, or, whether it's like a company that's sort of reinventing themselves, like we worked a little bit with the Greek online school who changed their name and their logo and have done these like really beautiful, amazing things, teaching kids Greek online. So we've helped with that kind of strategy too. So, and from soup to nuts of like, build out more video, tell your audience more about what you're doing, create some new hashtags, run a campaign. So that, those ideas are sort of like high level strategy. And then like, how are you going to roll them out? And what is your brand going to look like? And some of that is like, what is your why? Like, who are you speaking to? Like, I think sometimes we do things because we like them and we don't really take a minute to think like, who am I actually talking to? Who is the person, who's my target? And based on that, then how do I speak to that person? Because it might be different if your target audience, just your age, your demographic, like it all makes a difference. Am I going to roll stuff out on TikTok or am I going to roll it out, on LinkedIn? It's a completely different thing.
Right. Interesting. Let's talk a little bit now about THI, the Hellenic Initiative. I obviously have a special place in my heart, and I know you play a big role there. Tell us a little bit about THI before we jump into your role. Just tell us what THI is for the listeners.
So like the Hellenic Initiative, interestingly, like when I moved to New York, I've always been into philanthropy and I always was like a giver at my church. I was in Goya and I was like, the vice president of the Maids of Athena and the this and the that. And I, was philanthropy chair at my sorority and when I was in college. And so when I was in New York, I was really excited about connecting with Greek charities. And I sort of tried on a lot of them, I tried on various charities, whether it was like church stuff or whatever. And the Hellenic Initiative is fairly new. This is actually our 10-year anniversary is this year. So they weren't around when I first moved to New York initially. The Hellenic Initiative started as like part of a reaction to the crisis that was happening in Greece. So going through all of those things, and at some point I landed, that on this new nonprofit that started after the crisis began. And basically, some smart philanthropists, wealthy people came together and said, we have to help the country. Like, we have to do something. We have to do something impactful. We have to do more than other people are doing. Here we are. We have all this help. We have this great wealth of knowledge and, of course, funds in our diaspora. And what are we doing? Like, we need to mobilize these people. And so the Hellenic Initiative came to be with a double mission of crisis relief and economic development. So those two arms, are really it covers a lot, because you're helping kids, you're helping, refugees, you're helping families who are struggling, you're helping people with mental health troubles, and all kinds of other crisis stuff that needs sort of immediate relief. And then you're also helping startups, and you're helping people have jobs in Greece, and people, young people. The brain drain is a big problem, right? And so you're helping people to build the economic infrastructure where they can stay here, where Greece can move forward, and provide good future for young people. So I went to one of their events, and I mean, a thing is that, of course, everybody who goes to a nonprofit event, this, we all want to be with each other. We want to have a good time and also give back, right? So it's we're all patting each other's backs and whatever. But, what I saw was that the people who were at this event were very like-minded, were very much interested in rolling their sleeves up and getting really involved. And, it just seemed different. It felt different to me. And what's happened since then, I volunteered also for THI, by the way, before I worked with them. So I volunteered, I went to some events, and then I knew Peter Poulos, and I saw him at the one gala that I was at, and he said, and he was like, oh, whatever, so, so great to see you, whatever. And then the year after, he called me and was like, look, I know you do all these events. I know you know how to project manage. I really need some help with the gala. Can you help us the couple days, before the gala and the day of the gala? That was 5 or 6 years ago. And so I helped them with that. And then, a couple months later, they called me and said, we really need somebody to run our new leaders program, to actually build our new leaders program and run it, because it didn't really exist before. If you don't have somebody dedicated to it, there's so much else happening. So I, started the new leaders program. I mean, it sort of existed already, but it was no one was actually running it and growing it, which is young professionals under 45. And now we have several cities, and we have a newsletter, and we have an executive committee, and we have a membership program, and volunteering programs are being rolled out. There's still a lot of work to do. But I think the really exciting thing about THI is that it's global. It's the largest global diaspora nonprofit giving money back to Greece. And that's really exciting. It's not religious affiliated. It's not political. It's just about doing good and giving back and building a community. I'm the director of community development there now, as my role kept growing. And I'm very proud of that. I feel like it's been a labor of love, but there's so much love around it. I mean, that's how we know each other, right? And I've met incredible people. And I think there's a lot of genuine, feel good stuff that happens around the Hellenic Initiative. So there's some sort of secret sauce happening there.
You touched on an event that they tapped you in for, the gala. Can tell me a little bit about the success of the gala, the growth of the gala, what the gala has been able to provide for Greece?
That gala was at the Waldorf Astoria, which it was amazing. After that, we were at the Hilton for 3 years, and this last gala was at, and then we were virtual for 1 year. And then this last gala was at Cipriani Wall Street, which I think was another very fitting venue for us with those, grand, big Greek columns outside,
Yeah.
you know, on Wall Street. Like it was amazing. It was very fitting for a Greek organization to have their event there. Our gala is our biggest fundraiser, the New York City Gala. We have a London Gala also. We, you know, raised over $2 million this year. It's more than we've ever raised. We're incredibly proud of that. We have corporations that come on board. We have individuals that come on board. We have sponsors. You know, we had this lovely florist who, you know, Star Bright Florals came in and they gave us, you know, the flowers at cost and whatever. And then they just donated the whole thing. I mean, it was just because they came and they saw the program and they were just so moved, you know. And you know, so, and I should just say Nick Faitos is an amazing person who's there. And I just think, you know, it's contagious somehow, you know. I think you were at the gala. I mean, I wonder what you think. You know, you were at our pre-event on Friday night, you were at the gala. I think you went to the after party.
This year's after party only lasted about 5 minutes. It was too packed and we were just so tired. But yeah, no, I've been to the last 2 in-person galas. So this year's and then 2 years, the year before the virtual one. But yeah, no, everything is just top notch. And I know you touched on the new location because previously it was at the Hilton.
Yeah.
I got to ask, since you're involved with the gala, was that your choice?
Well, it was a team choice. I mean, it wasn't just my choice, but I will just say that, you know, we're an incredibly small team. There's 5 of us. And the fact that we can pull off such big things, I think, is a real testament to, you know, how committed everybody is.
And the silent auction is a big part of it.
Yeah. And so the silent auction is my baby. We have a lot of help. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I do everything. We have, you know, volunteers and people who bring all the products, you know, but we set up the back end. We work with the platform. You know, we do all of the uploading of the photos. And as, you know, as a tech person, you know, that takes a lot of time. And make sure, you know, to dot all the I's and cross all the T's and the descriptions. And, you know, it takes a lot. And, you know, we raise a lot of money from our auctions. We raise like $160,000, you know, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
For an auction.
I was really nervous about the auction because I thought that the item that I had donated was going to go unsold.
Yeah, I
the whole time I'm like, please somebody bid on it. Please somebody bid on it.
Oh my God, are you kidding?
It sold, and I got so excited when I got the email that it was sold.
Yeah.
But sorry, I cut you off. You were still talking.
No, but I mean, it's that, like, you know, we talk, by the time we get the item, then I have to make sure that the items are shipped to everybody who wins. We have like, you know, 160 items. It's a lot. But it's hugely successful. I've never seen such a large, well-curated auction anywhere else in the Greek diaspora. I mean, you know, and I think, again, that's a testament to, you know, people's generosity, from the designers, from people like you know, who are donating their product, and to the people who are getting online and bidding, you know, just all of it. I think it's really, the community is just really strong.
Definitely. Let's go back to summer of 2021. There was a huge event in Greece. THI stepped up big. Can you talk to me about the help that THI did for the fires this past summer?
Yeah, so I thought you were going to ask me about the beach cleanup, which
we'll get to that one after.
Was great,
but I wanted to stick with this since we're talking about donations. So I wanted to stick with this.
Yeah. Well, interestingly, you know, so THI is a very event heavy organization, which many of the Greek diaspora organizations are, because we're Greek and we want to get together and eat and drink and, you know, see each other and and all of that. With COVID, you know, we've all had to learn a lot about the digital world, and like, you know, the digital speaker series is also another thing that's sort of like under my umbrella of responsibilities of like setting it up and all of that. And those have been wildly successful for us too. And come the wildfires, right? And we've done online campaigns before. So we were like, okay, we're going to do, you know, and when we start thinking about doing an online campaign for something, you know, which is in response to a crisis, you know, we have a whole conversation about, what are we going to do with this money? You know, we want to be responsible for the people that are giving the money. I think one thing that, there's a lot of mistrust out there for people who've given their money to organizations and then felt like their money didn't go and wasn't well spent. So before we even start a campaign, we're like, should we, shouldn't we? Is the government giving enough money? Is there enough money being filtered from other places? Initially, we were like, maybe not. There was a hesitancy. And then we thought that the fires were put out. And then a few days later, they were not put out and things were getting worse. And so that's when we decided to like start the campaign. And we were getting donations. I mean, it was fully digital, fully online. We ended up raising more than $750,000, which was unprecedented. For I don't want to speak about other organizations, but for us, it was unprecedented. We were completely overwhelmed. And I mean, overwhelmed emotionally, by the response of people who wanted to give. And when I tell you, we had donations from €10 or €5 to, 10,000 euro and more. We had, some of our board members gave a lot more money. And then we had people like you, who were helping to spread the word. We had people like Marianthi Vlachos, who made a t-shirt, and, all the donations that she had, she rolled over into THI. And we're just like eternally grateful for that. And I think, it says a lot. It says that people care. It says that they want to do something when they feel helpless, like they want to do something and they want to give money to an organization that they trust, and we were there to be that person for that, that organization for them, and we work hard at that. So I think it was very validating to see that happened, and also that it can happen online. I mean, it was it was just like unbelievable.
Yeah, everything's happening online, it seems now. It even seems the world is going online with all these metaverse things going around.
Well, maybe you'll have to teach me about that, because
I'm still learning. I'm watching YouTube videos and it still doesn't make sense to me, but it seems like
but all about the NFTs, which I took me a minute.
I just act like I know about them so far. I still don't know about them. I'm still learning. I
mean, it's all moving so fast, right? It's like, can I catch up?
So you also mentioned one other thing from last summer, the cleanup.
Yeah. So
beach cleanup.
THI is about crisis relief and economic development, but there are certain things that we take on that we think are for the good of Greece. Yeah. And one of those things was a graffiti cleaning campaign that we did in partnership, with the city of Athens. And then, in partnership with the NHSA, the National Hellenic Student Association, we basically sponsor and fund a beach cleanup. And I think this was the third one that they did. And they'll do another one this year. And I mean, it was cool because we were both there and it was fun. And I think, I feel like it's grown every year, and I feel like it should really grow, really big. It should be really big, because it felt good to be there and to do it. And then it felt good to be with everybody that was there. And a really great thing was, I think I spoke about how much I love collaborations, is it's a collaboration with Ethelon, with IC, it's a collaboration between US diaspora organizations and Greek organizations. And I mean, how much more special can you get? There were Ethelon volunteers there, who got to meet people who were coming from the US and wanting to do good in Greece. And I don't know that that's something that happens very often, Yeah. So I thought that was kind of special, and we'll be doing more of that. So stay tuned for that. We'll be doing more beach cleanup, tree planting. That's one of the things that's going to be happening, being rolled out under that $750,000. Will be, tree planting, bees, all of that sort of nature stuff, as well as giving fire trucks and things like that.
It's almost as if you have a sneak peek of my notes over here. My next thing is, where do you see THI going? How else can it grow? What other things can you envision THI doing in the next few years?
Well, funny enough, I've been thinking about this a lot lately because, it's the post-COVID era. So with COVID, we sort of slowed down, stopped, changed. And so now it's well, what are we going to do to grow? And my role at the Hellenic Initiative has grown a lot. which means a lot more work. And I also have other clients and other projects. And sometimes I wish, I had more time to do more things. But what I envision and what I think the organization is going to try to do, certainly for new leaders, it's on deck. New cities, will be added. Like so far we have Boston, DC, New York. We've done 2 events in LA. We want to add Chicago. We have London. So in fact, we're having an event in London at the end of the month on February 24th. And potentially some New York and Boston events in the next coming months. But that will grow. And I can't tell you, I get emails all the time from people that are excited. Like, I live in Philadelphia. Can we do something here? I live in, San Francisco. We have a very active Northern California chapter that they've basically built during COVID, like on their own. I mean, like with our help, but like really like the enthusiasm comes from them. So I think that's super exciting. I think that will continue to grow. Who knows? There may be a THI Europe, there may be a THI South Africa. We certainly haven't tapped into the strength of the full global diaspora, so I think that will happen. I would like to see more things happening in Athens as well. I think maybe it's not fundraisers, but it's more of those opportunities for the people from the diaspora to come and be connected with people here. Because it's one thing to give money, and to whatever. And it's another thing to see the face of a person that you've, that won the Venture Impact Award, that, sure. That you're funding their startup, that you're mentoring, all of that's been very digital because of COVID. But, we have a mentorship program. Like, wouldn't it be great if everybody could get together in a room here in Athens, Mm-hmm. So I think the sky's the limit for THI.
That's amazing. Looking forward to the next few years. See what transpires. Now I want to talk about you a little bit. What inspires you to do all this stuff every single day?
God, some days it's harder than others, what inspires me? I think, look, the Hellenic Initiative and on all the things that I do are from my heart. Like, otherwise, I don't think you have the energy or the passion to do things. It's like, if it's not from your heart, or if it's not aligned with you and who you are and who you want to be, then how do you do it? I mean, there are plenty of days at the end of the day that I'm like burnt out, that I'm like, okay, I'm burnt. I need to like, to disconnect and, breathe and do. And part of that is why I've started doing a lot of physical, I do yoga and I run, and like, part of that is to like balance that out. Whereas when I was younger, I was very much only in my mind and not connected to the rest of me. So now I realize I really need to take time to recharge in order to come back with like a clearer mind and be able to like function and also give my best self. I think it's my legacy. Like, I think that's how I feel. Like, I think if I can build communities and, get people excited and inspired about things, then, what's better than that?
Love that. How do you define, or what does, I'll go with define rather than how do you define success?
I mean, success to me it's to be able to do what I just said, is just sort of like, to be able to do what you like and what your heart wants, and to be able to live from that, but I want to acknowledge that that's not possible for everybody. Like, I feel very blessed that I have the risk tolerance for it, that I am able to, that I've been able to work really hard, and to get somewhere where I feel like I can, I can survive fiscally from the things that I love. Every time I start a new project, it takes a little bit of risk, because you take time away from, other things that maybe are already working for you. Like, there are a lot of decisions you have to make. But I think that even no matter where you're at, if you can make time for the things that you love, time is the ultimate luxury, isn't it? I mean, that's success.
Yeah, that was a good answer. So
Thank
you
you.
obviously love starting new projects. You've created your own companies. What have you enjoyed the most about, for instance, starting the Kohas Agency?
That's a tough one. What have I enjoyed the most, huh?
Or just like a moment that steered the company in the right direction, that you had to make a big decision, or just something that stands out along the way that you could share with us?
I think, I think one of the things that I feel incredibly, grateful and proud of, I guess, because I usually, the old Artemis would just say, oh, I feel so, grateful and so lucky and so whatever. But like, we're never just lucky, right? Like there's also like, you've been working to get to that lucky place.
Mhm.
I
Yeah, there's no
think,
luck.
yeah, the people that I've met along the way, the connections that I've made, the people that have trusted me, with their projects, with their babies, because all of our businesses are our babies and our projects and our most serious relationships. I feel, incredibly lucky for that. I think that that's the best part to me, other than like, okay, get behind a brand, get behind something, an idea or whatever. Those things are really important, but it's the people that make the things happen. It's the connections, it's the community, it's that. And there's nothing that I love more than being in a room full of people that are smiling because you've just created a beautiful experience for them. That's the magic.
So you're obviously very driven. Are you a goal oriented? You write out goals type of person? Do you do vision
Hmm.
boards, any of that stuff?
Okay, so I'm a wannabe. I'm a wannabe that organized person,
Yeah.
actually. It's like those things that like you see everybody else like writes about and does, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I should be doing that because
Yeah.
like, my life does not seem to work that way. Um, I kind of flow with things.
Yeah.
I kind of just expect the universe will provide and things will work out. I mean, I work hard at things, but I'm not the most organized or whatever. I have done 2 vision boards my whole life, and those are in the last year. So very new at that, but it's fun, it's super fun. And in my psychotherapy days, I was doing a lot of that with the people that I worked with, but I wasn't doing it for myself. So I could see how transformative it is for people. I could see like, and I believe like in art and, sort of getting instinctual and doing all of those things. But it's like, it's one thing to like see it and know the importance of it. It's another thing to actually get the stack of magazines, make the time, get your glue stick and your, scissors and your card, so I don't necessarily work like that.
Okay.
I do kind of flow. Like I think life kind of takes you. I definitely, when I take on a project, I'm super goal oriented. Like if somebody's like, okay, you're running my launch event, you're doing whatever, there are, working lists, there are action items, there are, I have a team of girls that work with me, there's assigning them, there's deadlines, there's that. So
Right.
there's a lot of that in my work life. So for me, like as a visionary, that doesn't seem like what I do is like have all these passion projects. And then I like try to take one step towards it or build a partnership with somebody who can help me, take a couple steps maybe. And then slowly things happen. That's how it's worked for me.
Fair enough. I feel like I fall in that same category where I know I should be doing goals and vision boards. I've done the goals list before and I still do, but I'm also the type that just goes with the flow, and I think I know what I should be doing along the way, and like you said, just rely on the universe at times.
I mean, like last year, at the beginning of the year, I like to think about things or like, sort of milestones. And I was like, well, I should put myself out there more. I should speak more in public. I've been totally afraid of that for so long. I should start a podcast. And I just sort of started taking baby steps towards that. And then identifying places where I could speak or, and it's happened, now a year later, I have a lot more experience with that. I started a podcast, so it's happened, but I think you have to put it out in the universe. I don't care if it's you write it down or, you vision board it or whatever. I mean, you have to sort of say, okay, I want to do more of this. And I don't know, look, and then all of a sudden the opportunities, you either see them because you said it or, I don't know what comes first, but.
Sure. So this podcast is called Greece Chat. So I guess we do have to talk a little bit about Greece.
Considering you're in Mykonos, I think so.
For those watching the video edition, we'll assume I'm in Mykonos right now. Where is home in Greece?
Home in Greece, well, my heart home in Greece is Chios. Home in Greece where I am right now is Glyfada. Yeah.
So okay. So between Athens and Chios.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you know, it took me a while, but I finally made it to Chios.
Finally.
I finally made it this summer.
Way too short. It was way too short.
It was 2.5 days, but we squeezed 7 days into it.
Mm.
We went to Mustika farms. We went to Mastichori. What is the other village? Very photogenic one.
The Pirgi. You went to Pirgi.
We went to Masta. We did all of. I think that's in the southern part of the island.
Mm-hmm.
And what else was it that stood out that we did? It's not coming to me, but it was a great time. I even picked some mastika off of a tree, which was really cool. But yeah, I finally made it, but we do intend to go back because Maria also absolutely loved Chios, and it was one of her favorite parts of the trip, even though it was 2.5, 3 days. But talk to me a little bit about what makes Chios special with Mustika and the culture.
Yeah, I mean, okay, first of all, you definitely have to come back because you have a lot of friends there and you barely got to see any of us, Some people hijacked you from everybody else. You were kidnapped. Anyway, Chios is my roots. It's, both of my parents were born there. I've spent every summer of my life there, and I feel, really, really grateful for that. And so many great memories of my life are there. And difficult ones probably too, because it's like home, it's all those mixed feelings together. It's something that my dad instilled really deeply into us, that it was important to know our roots, that it was important to go back, it was important to give back. So, and half of my family still lives there. So, my cousins and so on. I have some cousins in Athens, but most of my, my family is in Chios. And, but there's something about this specific Gomi, which is where we spend the summers. And there's something about that place that to me is like magic. It's it's where I really recharge, I know there's part of me that just can go through anything because I know the summer I will land there, when I will have a few weeks to just be there and be home and recharge and be with my people and be sort of who I am. And I don't know, being that my dad died also when I was 16, I think, made me more intensely want to hold on to that, and be there where my legacy is and where his legacy is. So I don't know, there's that. And then, because growing up, no one thought anything about Mustika. I mean, we always all just had Mustika in our homes and didn't think twice about it, is the truth. Before Mustika shop, came to be under the cooperative, and started marketing all these amazing things about Mustika. I had no idea. I had no idea Mustika is antibacterial and antioxidant and anti-inflammatory and has this really rich history and has been used from, the Genovese to the Turks, loved Chios because of the Mustika, and all this, like, had this great big value for a very long time, and all the history of it. And so, I don't think that for me, it was like, it just very visceral. It wasn't like the history of Chios, but the more that I'm growing and learning, I learned about all the things about Mustika. Then, like, Chios has 92 beaches. Most people don't know about them. And that's one of the beautiful things about Chios. It's very authentic, and it's my happy place, and like all of our people, like, there's a group of us that we all descend there, and we have those feelings, and it's like where we all get together once a year. And I don't know, it's just, it fills us all up, and then we can have the rest of the year.
Amazing. I can't wait to go back. We got to go back.
Think, like, I wonder if everybody talks like that about where they're from. You know what I mean?
It is.
Like,
it is. And I mean, we say the same thing about where we're from, but hopefully when I go this time, you'll be there.
Yes. Well, you better plan. We have to plan it that way. August I'm usually there.
Perfect. So obviously Mustika, when people hear the word Mustika, they're assuming that don't know anything about Mustika, assuming chewing gum.
Yeah.
But give me like 2-3 examples of something that has Mustika in that is either beneficial or they may not have known that they're consuming.
Well, I think, first of all, it's in kaimaki ice cream. It's in a lot of tsurekia. It's in a lot of vasilopites. So, like, stuff that people eat that maybe they don't know what that, like, weird taste that they can't put their finger on is often Mustika. But we have capsules. We have toothpaste. We have things that are, like, really beneficial for your oral hygiene and gastrointestinal health and hygiene. And, like, Mustika is very well known for that. And it's used actually in some surgical glues in the US. So after surgery, they put that glue on sometimes. It's not like stitches. And it sort of keeps the skin together. And also, like, it's antibacterial. So it keeps it, close. Some unexpected and Mustika, there's a very long history about, like, the ways it's been used, but we know that it's actually a natural medicine, and it's also a UNESCO World Heritage tradition, which is, like, a big deal.
Awesome. Yeah, no, we went to one of the museums. I forget what village it was in, but it was pretty cool. And that's where in the back they had the Mustika trees, and that's where I got to pick at it.
The museum's pretty awesome. They've done a really good job with it.
Aside from Chios and Athens, where else do you love visiting in Greece?
There are so many places I haven't visited, and, like, that's what I really want to, start working on, because those are, like, my go-to places, but there are other islands that I love. Obviously, I'm Greek American. I've gone to Mykonos a million times, I've been to Santorini a million times, like. But, this year I went to Sikinos, which, like, a friend of mine was like, I'm going to this remote. It's, like, very hard to get there. And it was like heaven. There was like nothing there. There was one guy with a rental car place. And, like, we didn't even need a contract. He was like, like, I mean, it was like, going back, I don't know, 80 years. There was, like, nothing there. And it was so great. It was like, I want to go to more of those little remote places. And the other thing that because I think about Greece, since, we think about Greece a lot, because since we are communicating about Greece a lot, is that, there are so many places to go all year round. It was just at Parnassol, like, just 2.5 hours outside of Athens, there's snow, and there's skiing. And I mean, I don't ski, but I kind of missed the snow, and I went there and I came back and there was snow in Athens. I don't know how that happened, but, like, it's crazy. But, there's the landscape is very varied and different. And there's just so many gifts that Greece has, from the earth, food, wine, agricultural stuff, but also, like, beauty, that I want to explore more of that. and year round,
Mm-hmm. So I want to quickly ask you your three favorite Greek meals.
Oh, that's a hard one. Well, okay, so there's this taverna in Chios that we go to. It's like on the beach that we live on, and like a lot of us eat there like all the time, like every day. And we love to have lobster pasta there. Anything lobster pasta, fish, like whatever, all of those mezzo, whatever things.
Mm-hmm.
There are some days that I just want like a souvlaki pita. Often when I see some of your posts, I'm like, damn, that looks good. I really want that. And then, I love the pitas, well, can I say four? I love the pitas, like tiropitas, panacopitas, like depending where you are, in Thessaloniki, they have the bugatsa with kima. That's like amazing. And then I like the, pastitsio, musaka. Musaka I love. If there's not any potatoes in it, it's amazing. Yeah. I should have said some of the vegetable stuff, but like, no, that's not really.
All right. And give me three sweets or desserts.
Oh, ekmek with Mustika. Ekmek with Mustika. I'm not a big sweets girl. So, in Chios, they have masurakia, which I love. And actually, a lot of people take them from the specific place of Ustakis. They get masurakia, and you see them on the plane. They bring boxes of masurakia with them. Those, if I have a box in the house, it does not last very long. And what I say, ekmek. And I love tsureki. Like, it's not really a sweet, but there is a place that makes tsureki with merenda in Chios that I love, but like just any tsureki, like outside, if I smell it, like I'm buying it.
Yeah.
It's coming home with me. I'm eating it on the way. Yeah.
Okay.
Good
and
question.
Three places that you haven't been to in Greece that you want to get to.
Oh my God. Meteora is like number one.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe I've never been to Meteora. Ithaki, because you have to take the journey to Ithaki, What's another place? I'm sure there are like a million. Let's see. I've been to Ikari, I've been to Amurgol. I want to go to like Paxus. It's like these tiny little islands that are like.
We almost went last year, but it didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Good answers. Awesome. I have just two questions left, and that's the last questions I ask everybody before I let them go.
Lots of pressure.
What does being Greek mean to you?
Oh shit! See, lots of pressure. Okay, sorry. First on your podcast. What does being Greek mean to me? Well, I think about being Greek in like the broader sense of the word, of like what does it mean to like sort of be an ambassador for Greece? Like, what is it that I want to communicate to people about this like blessed country? And I think of it on like a higher level, like, I mean, not to be like cheesy, but like, ancient Greece, like philosophy came from here, theater came from here. Like, I almost feel like, and I say that like in terms of like also the modern Greeks need to reconnect to that Greece, but like reconnect not in terms of like, oh, we're the best and we did all this stuff, like, but reconnect into that creativity and that ability to problem solve, to think on a high level, to be thoughtful, to create communities, to care about one another. I think that those Greek ideals and being the embodiment of that is where we need to be, and like what I want to be, and how I want to be in the world, and and work with the organizations that I work with and the clients that I work with, and sort of like it's a lot of heart and soul, and there's no, it's not by accident that there's no translation for the word kefi,
Right.
It's like this joy for life and, excitement to be together and eat and drink together and dance together and sing together, because we have a joyful life, because we've thought about all of these things. And we know that we need, all of this, if there is such a thing as balance, I've traveled, I haven't traveled the world, but I've traveled a lot, and it's really hard to find that feeling elsewhere.
Beautiful. Well said. And the last thing is more on your entrepreneurial side, business side. What inspires your work ethic?
God, what's really funny is like, if you ask me on like just a regular day, I'd probably tell you, I don't think I work enough. And meanwhile, actually all I do is work. You know what I mean? Like, I'll like lay on the couch at night and be answering emails, what inspires my work ethic? I don't know. I think if I had to be really honest, it's like, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist and a little bit of like a person that wants to not please others, but like, it's like your responsibility and you have to look good, and you can't not have, not care about what you're doing. Like I can't, if I make a careless mistake, which I do, I'm like, I'm like mad at myself for like 24 hours later.
Yeah.
I can't just like let it go and be like, everybody makes mistakes, like that kind of thing. Or if I'm, I want to make sure that I'm a high achiever, or like, it's a lot about that. It's a lot of pressure on myself, but the other thing is, because I like a lot of the things that I do, that it doesn't feel like such a burden, like sometimes I'm really tired and I get like, burnt or whatever, but like, it doesn't feel like, where you get up and you're like, you have to go somewhere that you don't want to go and like sit at a desk and grind and, and sometimes people ask me like, or they'll say like, you're so lucky you get to do like, yes, I'm like so grateful that I can be in Greece and I can work on projects that are not in Greece, and but that's become the norm now with COVID, right? But like, I've also worked really hard to like create this life for myself. So like, I think it's a double-edged sword, right? Where it's like, people look at you and they think, oh, you've got it so easy. And you must experience a lot of that too. Like you're a digital creator and people think, oh, he's in Greece for 3 months and, it's so glamorous. But like, you're up at like the crack of dawn to get that shot that like, before the tourists get there, and like, that you need to think things through a little bit, or, I don't have summers anymore. Like when I worked for the Department of Education, I would leave at the end of June and I'd come back at the beginning of September, and I didn't have to work at all. And that was a great summer. Yeah. And now, like, my sister will be there with her kids, or my friends who are there on vacation, literally, because they're not working. And they'll be like, oh, we're going to be at the beach and come. And I'm like, no, actually, like, I can't do that every day. So, I think it's a double-edged sword. But if you love what you do, it doesn't feel like that hard.
Exactly. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right?
That's right.
Exactly. That's the motto. Awesome. Artemis, has been a lot of fun. If there's anything else I'm forgetting to talk about, now's the time to jump in and tell me. But I think we covered a lot, right?
I think we covered a lot.
If I missed anything, just remind me. But I'm pretty sure we covered a lot about Artemis, Kohas Agency, Hellenic Initiative. I was going to ask what's next, but you kind of jumped into that early on, how you brought in yoga now. So maybe we'll see you in the retreat in Greece one of these years.
We'll see. You better come if I plan one.
I will be there. Better have space. Yeah. Don't sell out before you tell me.
Oh, please. No. You're going to be the first one. It's reserved for you. Yeah.
And you want to share how people can find like you on social media or the Kohas Agency?
Yeah. So my Instagram handle is @Mustika Girl. We also have @Kohas Agency, which talks about a lot of our work, but also celebrates, all the things we talked about, really, entrepreneurship, the clients that we work with, the girls that are on my team, who are very dynamic, so there's lots of info there. as well. Our website is www.thekohasagency.com. Yeah, I mean, and I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on, all the platforms, not TikTok. I'm not on TikTok.
We gotta get you on TikTok soon.
I know you keep telling me that, but I'm like, one more platform. But yeah, but feel free to connect with me anywhere. I'm very open to that.
Amazing. This was Artemis Kohas on Greece Chats. And Artemis, thank you again for coming on.
Thank you, Tony.
I'm sure we're going to do this again. I know one of the times we did it, we didn't actually get to publish the episode. That's a story for another day. But the original episode is on the podcast. It's episode 1. And thank you again for coming on almost 2 years later for the second official time. I think 2 years will be in a few months, but we're close to 2 years of this podcast. And good luck with your podcast as well. I know we didn't talk much about the podcast, so if you want to take a second and at least give us where we can find your podcast.
Oh yeah, sorry. Now What? My podcast is called Now What? And the thought behind Tony's been on, so you can definitely listen to Tony's Tony's interview. The thing I like to talk to people about on my podcast is their struggles, actually, on their entrepreneurial journey. And how, sort of slow it down a minute and talk about how do you get up after you've fallen, how do you keep going? How do you pivot? How do you do those things that we don't talk about that much, actually?
For sure. And that was a great episode. So if you guys are listening and want to go hear my discussion about getting up when you fall, head over to get on a podcast platform and just type in Now What? Artemis Kohas.
By Artemis Kohas, yeah. And if you want to hear me put Tony on the spot, that's a fun one.
Yes. That was a great conversation.
Yeah, it was.
Anywho, Artemis, I'll see you soon, whether it's in the US or in Greece or somewhere else in the planet. I'm sure I'll see you really soon. And thank you guys for listening to Greece Chats. Once again, this was Artemis Kohas. Thank you, Artemis.
Thank you, Tony. Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.